Be okay with that? Scott, if you're on there, I'd like your comments on that too.
I'm fine with the live meeting.
Okay. Certainly, I know myself in particular, I have my last shot. I think it's the third week in April. And but regardless, I think at this point, I think it's safe to come out of the woods. Martha, could you do me a favor? Could you check with the association in Green Valley and see if we can use their meeting room again? They may not be ready to do that. If
I
that,
don't think they will be, but I'll check with Janie, but I kind of doubt it because we have not even opened up the service center unless you've got a scheduled appointment.
okay.
But I'll check with Janie. So you're thinking the May meeting then?
Yeah, so it'd be the first Thursday in May.
Okay.
I'm also willing to, if the association is not able to, Martha, I can always reach out to Continental Plaza and see if you can use the MLS room. Since
Okay.
we're tenants there still, I can, so if that's a second option for you if you want to do that.
Okay, yeah, and we could spread out more in that room because it's quite a bit bigger, so.
That's a great idea, Lori. Thank you.
That might be.
My pleasure. And I can bring some treats.
Okay.
Woohoo!
I really do think we're ready to get back together again. We're having live meetings here in Prescott where I am this morning. So they're pretty much, here it's a little bit different, of course, but because every municipality has been, up until recently, has given the choice. But I think we're ready to get back together. So let's try to do that.
Speaking of getting back together, John and Craig, can you let me know, can you remind me when the awards is at
We're going to
Ventana?
go over all of that.
Okay, that's good. I just mainly wanted Lori to know for her team.
Okay.
Thank
So-
you, Craig.
You bet.
Let's do this. Let's first of all, let's get started if we can. Craig, I'll let you lead it off like usual, and followed by Lori. And I'm going to ask you all a favor. I've got a long drive home because last time I was up here, I hit 3 accidents coming
Oh,
up.
wow.
Wow.
So what was a 4-hour trip turned into a 6-hour trip. So as soon as I'm finished with with Craig's and my section and Mark takes over, I'm going to exit with everyone's permission, get in the car and go home.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, Craig.
This Craig, me, Craig?
Craig.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, it's good to see everybody. Can't wait to get back together live and in person. Really looking forward to that. So I'm going to give the floor to Lori here in a minute. She has a special presentation about some new technology that TSA is rolling out. But just wanted to remind everybody, because I'm not, and I want to thank Lori and her team for being a presence down there. It's a little bit harder for me to consistently be down there the way I am in and out of Tucson offices, but I'm always at your beck and call, particularly for title issues. So keep in mind our early bird title escrow orders. We do those in a pinch for you guys. If you sit down with the seller and any red flags go up, if there's a pending foreclosure or judgments and liens, any type of ownership issues with siblings or deceased party, or if anything's going on up front before you list a property, just let Lori and I know. Shoot us a quick email and just let us know a little bit about the situation and how it might affect title. And sometimes we can get those issues resolved just by using our property research department to do judgments and liens checks and get you the vesting deed and that type of stuff. But if it's a little bit more sophisticated, we're more than happy to open the early bird order and do a full title examination and get back to you with that so that we can get those issues cleared up prior to you listing the property. So just wanted to say that. Just wanted to thank everybody as always for remembering good old title security /signature on line 117. Thank you very much. And take it away, Lori.
Thank you, Craig. One thing I will piggyback off of what you're talking about with your early bird prelims. Nobody is faster than you and Delane at getting that back. And Delane always sends such a great explanation of what's going on in that prelim in her email. And so that's so valuable and so timely. And so just really proud to be partners with you. And yeah, you make our life a lot easier. So thank you. And
Thank
thank
you.
Elaine for
Appreciate
me
it.
as well.
I will.
So a couple of things, I don't want to take up too much time. Number one, I'm going to be sharing with you some new technology that we are utilizing as soon to be completely First American title here soon. The Green Valley office has switched over their operating system to the First American operating system, which has enabled the secure portal format for you folks. And I'm going to go over just a brief demonstration of that with you today, and I'm available for any questions that you might have in getting registered, et cetera, et cetera. But on piggybacking a little bit off of having an open meeting, rumor has it that we may have an announcement really soon about opening things up. So it may happen sooner than later. So I hope you bear with us for a couple more days on that, but that could be the case. But let's get on to the secure portal. So if I'm able to share my screen, I'm going to share with you what the secure portal is and how it's going to interact with you and your customers. So I'm going to share, bear with me. So can you see my screen, everybody?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So what is this secure portal in a world where encrypted emails are so prevalent, in a world where, you know, really communication needs to be more timely than ever now, with as busy as things are? The secure portal is a way for you, the agent, and also your customers, your buyers or sellers, to interact with their escrow team in a very secure environment where they can check the status of their open transactions, both you and your customers. You can share documents with the escrow team, so you and your customers will be able to upload documents into the portal. Your customer will also receive their opening buyers and sellers information packets in that secure portal, and they can fill that out online without having to write out their responses and then upload that directly into the portal. They can view documents. They can send and receive messages from the escrow teams to you and your customers. And it's a way to avoid encrypted emails. It's a way for you to see major milestones in your file that are happening, and really encourage you to communicate with your escrow teams in this fashion. In order to obtain what we call an Eagle ID for First American, the Eagle, you will have one Eagle ID for any transaction that you do with any First American escrow officer, title security escrow officer. So if you have a deal in Green Valley, you have a deal up in Tucson, and they're two separate escrow teams, you only need one password to be able to access all of your open files within the portal. So now with sharing new technology, there are going to be some glitches along the way, and I'm here to help you to make sure you're getting registered properly, to make sure you have access to your files, and also to assist your customers with obtaining access to the files. And what I wanted to do real quick here is I'm going to show you, it's a 2-layer authentication process for you to obtain your Eagle ID. And what I wanted to do is show you that process real quick, and then you can follow up with any questions with me, either one-on-one or here. So I'm going to switch to a new screen. Okay, can we see the launch demos right here?
Yep.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to click through here is a demonstration of the 2-layer authentication when you're obtaining your Eagle ID to reach your secure portal. And by the way, there are some e-sign documents that the customers can sign in the secure portal as well. So it's different than we've ever had before. But in order to get into the portal, I wanted to just do the click through real quick so you can see how you're going to be able to add in. You do need to have, we need two things in place. Your email, which we input for you when we open up your first order into the portal, and also your cell phone. You need to have your cell phone because of the 2-layer authentication. So I'm going to go through launching the real estate portal for you. This is what you will see. You'll see First American Title here. So it is secure, it is accurate, it is a First American product. It'll say your name, and then it's going to ask you, tell you you've registered a transaction for the property address, so you can verify that. And then the first time you'll enter, you're going to go to register your account. Once you have your Eagle ID, you're going to go here to click in to sign into your portal link. So when you register your new account, it's going to open up. I got to move my pictures so I can see my screen. It has a user license agreement that you have to accept, read through and accept. If you decline it, that means you're opting out of the portal. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Accept, and this is just going to click through. You're going to enter in your email address and then send verification code. This will send a verification code to your email. And you can enter in that verification code here and then verify code, and it'll take you to the next spot. The next spot, oops, sorry. The next step is going to be your phone verification. That's why it has to be your cell phone. It can't be a landline, because we're going to send you another verification to your phone number. So you're going to select the phone number that you want. If you have multiple cell phones, it'll ask you to choose which one that you want it to go to, and then click next. It'll send you either via text, or it will, you can receive an actual phone call with the verification code. I'm going to use text. And then you enter in this verification code. I think it's a 6-digit number. Or if you missed it and it timed out, you can get another code sent to your, texted to your phone. So you're going to pop that verification in. Then at one of the last screens is making sure all of your contact information is accurate in here. And this is your office address, not your property address. This is your office address. So you're going to verify that, click next, and then it's going to ask you to select your user IDs and passwords here. It's going to put in your username, you select what you want that to be, select your password, and then confirm your password. It's also going to ask you if you want notifications via emails or texts going forward, so you can choose that for yourself. And then complete your registration. And now I'm taking you into a mock screen where I'm seeing 3 different property addresses, and you can click on any of these property addresses and then get into the documentation that's surrounding that particular file. So I'm going to stop share on that. So, or if I have any questions so far, I promised I would be brief. Please let me know if you have any questions so far on this. I know, Martha, you've used this authentication process thus far, and were you able to walk through that process?
It was a little time consuming the first time. And because they asked me, a lot of information that I thought was already submitted. So,
such as what kind of information?
I think it was just a lot of the contact info and everything that was already in the documents. So,
okay.
And maybe that's taking over for that old contact form that we used to do.
It is taking over for that. And and you'll only have to do that process one time until you get your user ID and password set. So yeah, it does take a few extra steps to get your Eagle ID. But because we need to have a secure environment, because we're, again, eliminating some firewall, some encrypted emails and things like that. So this has to be really secure. So that's why for the 2-layer authentication process and setting up your Eagle IDs, so that you can use that for all transactions, regardless of the escrow team that you're working with. So thank you for that feedback, Martha. I appreciate it. And I'm here to help you walk through this process. Some agents, some customers have whizzed right through it and loved it. Some agents have loved it. Some have had a few challenges, but that's why I'm here to help you do that. So if you have a challenge, please reach out to me and I will make sure that happens. I talked early on about opting out. If you do not want to use the secure portal, we're not going to force you to do so. And there is an opt-out feature embedded in that email. So you can just communicate traditionally the way you've always communicated with your escrow teams. If you opt out, a message will get sent to your escrow teams that alerts them, okay, they're not using the portal, so we need to send their documentation in the traditional fashion. You have 4 days to activate your portal. And if you pass that 4 days, I'll have to send out another invite for you to access the portal. And if you choose to opt out, and then down the road say, you know what, I think I want to try this again, then I can opt you back in with a new registration email. So there are some options for you. We're not trying to force you to use this technology, but we feel like it will be a secure environment. And once we get past this like little learning hurdle, I think it will be a great way for you to communicate with all of your files and find it to be useful in the future.
Lori, quick question.
Yeah.
If something new goes into your file, do you get an email message alerting you of that?
You should get an email message alerting you of that, and you can find it also in your activity here, Martha.
Okay, because I don't know that I would just jump on there daily without being kind of jogged to do
Yeah,
so,
to be
if that
prodded.
makes
Hey,
sense.
there's something new in your file.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Gotcha.
great.
And there's the message center and email sent. So you can email directly from here. And then there's just message center in here as well. Okay. But you should receive a notification that status has changed in your file.
Lori, a question.
Yes.
So where preliminary title reports are concerned, I know that's on Signature Title's side. So will they be a part of this platform?
Yes, because Signature is going to forward that preliminary title report to the escrow teams. The escrow team then upload it into the portal. So, and Mike, I'm correct in saying that, right, Craig?
I would think so. This is my first
Yeah.
exposure to this, but
Okay.
it makes sense because we typically do that with everything from affiliated business disclosure forms. Everything starts at the point with title security and is everything filters through escrow.
Yeah. So
but I guess we'll learn that as we go.
it's been happening thus far.
Okay, good.
So Signature is just getting their process in communicating with us has not changed. It's our process uploading to the agent and the customers that is affecting this change.
So if the agent opts in to use the portal, and I'm going to advocate that they do, okay, because it's secure. This is the only place I think they should be operating. With wire fraud and everything, and people wiring funds more often than not, and so many out-of-town buyers being in 2 different locations, or sellers being in 2 different locations, that's problematic. My question is this: so with the preliminary, because that's a important part of our contract,
Mm-hmm.
And timeframes involved with that, especially a buyer's ability to opt out. So once it appears here in the portal, will the agent still get an email with the prelim, or will they have
No,
to
they'll get an email notifying that it's in the portal.
Okay.
Good.
And
Yeah,
if they're not in the portal, they just get that email with the prelim.
yes, it'll be standard communication process as normal if they opt out.
Okay.
So, but if they want to opt back in the future, then I can make that happen for them. But it like you say, it is a very secure system. Your buyers and sellers will have wiring instructions available to them in the portal, which is extremely secure. Instead of sending encrypted emails and all that good stuff, it's a process for them to be able to upload a document. They can fill out their buyers and sellers packages online versus handwriting them and sending them in. That will help us also enormously if we get those entered in the secure portal ASAP, because that will also help us make sure we're getting correct buyer and seller information for HOA disclosures, et cetera, et cetera. And if we're communicating with Signature Title and we need to change, they're changing vesting or something like that, that can happen much quicker than our traditional system of emailing encrypted emails or calling in and all that. So hopefully it'll make communication more seamless. But again, there are some end users, we understand that will not feel comfortable in this platform. But you as your agent can opt in, doesn't mean that your customer has to opt in. So we understand that feeling of, they won't trust the technology. But I've been able to walk a lot of customers through it already, and they get in and they're happy with it. But again, we want you to feel confident in it, and we want your customers to feel confident, but we're not going to say this is the only way you can communicate with us. We'll let you decide for that, okay?
Lori, a technical question you may or may not be able to answer, but it's an important one. So this type of platform is very secure, very similar to our lockdown transaction management system. Okay, it's also a secure portal. That's basically what it is. So one of the things that we've noticed, and I think it's important for the agents, and a question you'll have to get an answer for us.
Okay.
We have had some people unable to open documents that have been sent out of the secure portal for one specific reason. They're using a VPN. VPNs oftentimes will block, and that's a virtual private network. You're going to find people that work for the government, law enforcement.
We have it too.
Companies. We use it as a company when I travel. I'm always on my VPN. Okay. And it's just like you can't generally open your banking apps if you're doing it behind the VPN, because it's already a secure portal. So I'd like, if we could, to get an answer. If there's an issue with that, we need to tell our clients on the other end they need to take down their VPN in order to access the information from this portal. It's probably the same as Heislo, as far as
I will get that info. I don't have the answer to that question, but it is a significant question. So I will reach out and get an answer for you on that. I also have a user guide that I can send out to everybody. And it's just kind of it's a 5-page document that shows different FAQs and, troubleshooting. So I can get that out to everyone as well, along with an answer to your question.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So that's all I have. I'm sorry I took a lot of the time. I did go over 10 minutes. I apologize. But if you have any comments, suggestions, questions, please reach out to me one-on-one, and I'm happy to help you.
I have one question.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Scott.
When are you going to send this out to us?
Well, you'll start noticing it once you have a transaction open in FAST. Scott, and FAST is our new operating system. They're toggling between our old one and new one right now. So your next escrow, Scott, should be open in FAST, and that's when you'll receive your first notification.
See, I think I got a notification. I just ignored it.
Okay, and if you need me to resend that, I'll check on that for you, Scott. And if I need to resend your invite, I will do that today, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So Craig?
Which Craig?
Oh, sorry, Craig Cunningham.
Yes, sir.
So this is important stuff. And again, we're going to be an advocate for use of this. We're not going to force agents to use it, but I think they'd be foolish if they didn't use it. The other side of it is the same thing with the clients. We're not going to force them, because there's always some people that just won't use it, or they're afraid to use it.
Right.
We're not going to fight City Hall. So this would be something I think we want to present to our agents at our April Tucson regional meetings.
Yep.
And Lori's done such a terrific job. Can I nominate her to do this for our agents in Tucson? Are you able to do that for us, Lori?
I am happy to do that for you anytime. And I will say that Green Valley is one of the first to get on the operating system, to be exposed to it. So not all of the title security offices have gone through the training. So that will be happening over the next 60 days.
Okay.
Have
Good.
some
So-
in Tucson started the process?
Yes, there are 2 offices in
Okay.
Tucson, actually, I think 3. The INA office with Tina Eastlis's team,
Okay.
Melanie Hestikin's team is on it, I believe. I know Green Valley is on it. I think those are the 3 offices. Rhonda Tatro is on it.
Mhm.
I think those, if I'm not mistaken, those are the 3 offices that have been through the training and operating in the system thus far, because we couldn't, haul everybody together in one
Right.
virtual environment and train them at once. So
Might
this will
still
be
be a
rolled
good
out to the other.
idea because
Pardon,
I said it might still be a good idea because we have a number of agents working with all of those escrow officers with Realty executives. So we could do it for them, like here's what's going on, and then a coming soon for everybody else.
Great.
But,
I'm
but we
happy
can
to help.
discuss. We'll talk Jessica and Aaron and you and I will all put our heads together. It's funny though,
Great.
I was actually texting them a screenshot of this to actually make that suggestion, John. So
And
Great.
definitely right with you.
I shared all of this information with the entire sales team, all the demonstration that I just went through today. I shared that with all of the sales team. So everyone does have it and is equipped to do this as well.
Okay, but you're an actual user, so I would prefer that somebody
Okay.
who's an actual user of it actually explain it to our agents. Our meeting in Tucson is at 10 a.m. on the 13th.
April 13th,
Yes, and we can
my
Zoom you.
birthday. Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll have a party.
Birthday. So we can have some fun with that. No, we're not gonna, you're too busy to drive to Tucson. We'll Zoom you in.
I office out of, my home office is in Tucson, so I can make it. But Craig and I we'll figure it out.
I'll leave it up to you and Craig. And Craig, would you coordinate that with John Gebhardt, who puts our meeting agendas together?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your time, everybody. I really
Oh.
appreciate it and look forward to seeing everybody in
Thanks,
person
Lori.
next month.
Yay.
Thanks, Lori.
I
Thanks,
found,
guys.
I found the site. I'm registering right now.
Great. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now.
Perfect.
Are we
Thank
back to
you.
normal?
Yep.
Okay.
Back to normal.
All good. All right. Mr. Dwyer, you want to update us real quick on Real Scout?
Yes. So I'm happy to report that the company has signed the agreement with Real Scout, and we're actively engaged with working with the various MLSs that affect, and that's not only in Southern Arizona, it's in Northern Arizona too. So Real Scout will become a reality for you all within 60 days. And there'll be a bunch of training and a bunch of announcements out there because and I want everyone to know, we've always been transparent with with money with you all, so you know how the money's being spent. This is the significant investment that the company is making to put you all in the center of the transaction instead of Zillow, okay? And some of the other platforms. And we've gone over that before, so I won't spend time this morning with that. And it's about $162,000 investment over a 3-year period. So we had to sign a 3-year contract because of all the work that Real Scout has to do to integrate with the MLS and to create this opportunity for you. So for right now, just know that we've made the commitment. They're actively involved with the various MLSs to sync all the data because when you see the whole system rolled out and the training around it, there's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done on the coding side to make it all come together. So we'll keep you informed over the next 30 days or so. We started the process actually 2 weeks ago. So we've been told it takes approximately 60 days to complete. And towards the end of the 60 days, we'll be making some special announcements and start talking about training. Now, I want to say training, this is not going to be a difficult thing to use, but the articulation of it with your consumer is going to be really important, and how to use it. So all of us on our Realty Executives leadership team, we're going to be well versed in that to give you ideas and suggestions about how to use this, as well as what Real Scout has done in so many other markets around the United States that already have adopted this platform. We are the first in Arizona, the first brokerage to go on board. I've already reached out to the big gorilla in Tucson, and we told them in about 90 days, we'll probably go to them and ask them to do a meeting with Real Scout, because it works best when at least 3 of the largest brokers in each market are utilizing the data. Remember, it's only data. They'll never have any, one agent would not have your contact information for your sphere of influence. All of that is privacy. The company secured a written agreement, as well as our franchisor got a written agreement from Real Scout that the data can never be sold or used for any purpose other than our purposes. So that's all I have to say about that, unless anybody has any questions. Okay. The other thing that we want to talk about, let me go back to my meeting agenda here. The Sky Sloan Forums update. So Martha, I don't know, have you been copied on all the emails? You probably know a little bit more about it than I do, but I think they have found out what the problem is. And it is the National Association of Realtors. And they're working, Sky Slope is working with with Melissa to resolve that problem. So Martha, do you want to add anything to that?
No, the last I heard was Brian with Melissa had been in touch with Janie also. And apparently he finally found somebody at Sky Slope that could kind of even relate to what he was talking about.
Right.
So that's been a couple weeks ago, and I have not heard anything. I did try to download the Melissa files, maybe a week ago, and it still was giving me the same, you don't have access message.
Right.
So
I've been told that it's going to be a process with NAR, because everything is obtained through NAR, believe it or not.
Yep.
So the thing that I don't understand is why it's only, well, I do, because you're not part of the Tucson Association of Realtors. If you're part of the Green Valley Association, that's where the problem is.
well, I think Teresa Sullivan was having issues too, and she's a TAR primary. I'm 99% sure. So
And it's
I'm
a-
wondering if it was something when we did with the merge, if that.
It was with the merge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but we there's no problem with any of the MLSs in Northern Arizona, 0.
We're just
Go
special.
We have to get to the bottom of the problem. So I'll check again with Carla. We're at the mercy of response back from all the parties. Believe me, we've sent probably a dozen emails back and forth
Yeah.
in the course of the last 6 weeks. And I'll have to check again to see where we're at where that's concerned.
Yeah, Brian that works with Andrew Castillo and Melissa, he's been kind of our go-to person. He's been the one trying to work all of it, from what I understand.
Okay.
And I know Carla's been in touch with him as well too.
Yeah, on my way down from Prescott today, I will definitely reach out to her and see if she's heard anything new. And she may have to tap on them again. It just doesn't seem like we're high priority for some reason. Well, they had a lot of problems with Flex, when they did their update as a whole. And I think that could have been part of the problem, but they should be caught up with all that stuff now.
Yeah.
Anyways, we will get to the bottom of it. The next thing on the agenda is we're doing more Sky Slope training. I think Craig's done a pretty good job with you guys, but Carla is going to take a deep dive again. That's one of the reasons she was here in Prescott with me, was to make sure that all the agents in Northern Arizona had a clear understanding. So we have a a meeting or a training center, just like in Southern Arizona. It's a little bit smaller, but it's set up with the big screen TVs. So we had a lot of agents from Cottonwood, Sedona, and the Prescott area here going through that training. And I tell you something, I sat through it. I sat through 3 sessions and I learned a few things. So Carla, if you're able to attend, that notification will go out as far as when those classes are going to be. Because believe me, if you really know how to use it well, it's going to save you a tremendous amount of time. Okay.
Yeah, and with us going back to a lot of the live classes, those will be live. She's going to do hands-on. So if you guys want to attend those, they will be the 1st, the 6th. Oh, so today, right now, as we speak, the 6th, the 15th, and 27th of this month, all at 10 o'clock at Tanque Verde.
And you bring your computers. We've tried the Zoom thing with this. It doesn't work as well because we have people that are still challenged. And that way we can walk around the room and actually help them, sit with them, and get things set up so that they can use it effectively. Okay.
Yeah, and Mark's also got a round table on the 14th of this month at Tanque Verde as well. But if you guys have some, all of you Southern Arizona ones or Southern, Green Valley, Tubac, if you want some hands-on training down here, let me know and we'll get something set up for you as well.
Fantastic. So now for some really good news. So we're actually going to have a live annual awards for agents this year. Now, there will be some rules around it because the venues where you can hold these things, they pretty much are all the same. They limit you as to how many people can be there based on the size of the room and their own company requirements. So it will be on the 22nd of April. It will be at the Lodge at Ventana Canyon where we've traditionally held our holiday parties. It'll be, I believe, what is it, Craig, 4:30 in the afternoon?
Yep.
It'll start. The first hour or so will be the actual awards. After the awards are over, we'll have an opportunity to gather, but we're actually going to serve a plated dinner. Okay. We felt that was more appropriate. We didn't do an annual awards last year, so we wanted to upgrade that for all of you. So we're actually going to have a served dinner. Plus, we don't want people gathering in long lines at getting the food buffet style. And actually, the resort asked us too if we would do it that way because it would help to keep their servers and their staff safe. There'll be over the next week or so, there'll be an invitation sent out to each person that can be at the awards, and we're asking you to RSVP. And the reason that it's important that you RSVP, you have to choose what you want for dinner. So I think there's a choice of beef, there's a choice of chicken, there's a choice of fish, there's vegetarian, there's 4 or 5 choices, and they're good ones. The food there, you've been there before, is really good. So let's talk about the requirements about who can be there. We cannot have more than 200 people, and the people that are going to be able to attend are all of our standalone agents. If it's a standalone agent with a licensed personal assistant or assistants, licensed is the key word, they're able to attend. If team leaders obviously can attend, their team members can attend if they were with the team leader for 2020. So if they came on board in 2021, unfortunately, we're going to have to exclude them, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. Also, licensed admins for the teams will be able to attend. And the reason for this is we added up everyone from teams, from standalone agents, licensed assistants, and we're almost 300. We can't have 300 at the event. So the primaries have to be there first. We're also going to ask our partners that they're going to, Craig, we will probably be unable to have anybody from Title Security there.
Okay.
That includes you, you will be there, but Aaron and Jessica, we probably cannot have them at the event this year because we have to give priority to our agents first.
Okay, you got it. We understand.
And that'll hold true for pretty much anybody that's that's a partner of ours. As much as we would like to have everyone come, also spouses, children cannot come. It's just the primary agent. Again, we wished it could be different. We actually look for other venues. They're pretty much all the same. 200 seems to be the max we could get just about anywhere during the time frame that we needed to have it. So you'll hear more about it. I'm probably going to put out a video to the entire company going over this, but are there any questions regarding that? It should be a great event. And by the way, we've hired a wedding photographer to do the work because they're going to videograph everything. Everything is going to be in video format as well as still pictures. So you're going to be able to get the pictures. You can, those of you who use those things for marketing purposes, you're going to have both video and still pictures too. It's going to be done first class. We're still going to be able to, and we're probably going to deliver the awards to you at the tables. We're working with the resort. So as we call out the awards, the people will have selected members of our staff there available to help and deliver those awards to you at the tables. And that way we can have a good event and everybody will feel comfortable being there. I feel comfortable regardless, but we have some of our agents and we understand and respect the differences here. The only way they're going to come if it's in a safe environment like this. So what do you all think? Can that work? Yes, no?
Hopefully a Christmas party so we can all dance with Craig then.
Yep. Well,
I'm ready.
the Christmas party, which will be, what is it, Craig? Which date is it? Is it the, I confused that with Prescott. It's the 17th, I think.
I believe ours is 17th.
The 17th, and you'll get more information. At this point, the resort has not put any restrictions on us. We're going to have a live band. It'll be dinner like always and a great time. And hopefully by then we'll be through COVID.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Let me just look at my.
Next about the websites and campaigns.
Okay. So one of the things that it kind of aligns with our philosophy of helping you protect your sphere of influence from big tech like Zillow. And one of the things that we made a decision on is to make another investment on your behalf. So very soon, everyone in the company through the end of the year will be given free websites as well as free marketing campaigns through Prime Agent. If you're currently paying for that, you won't be paying anymore. They'll stop charging your credit card and it'll be good through the end of the year. Anybody who doesn't currently have an agent website or the marketing campaigns, they will. So to make this work smoothly, because the worst thing we want is for it to be difficult for you, is there had to be some coding done on the back end of the billing system that's built into Prime Agent. So I've been told that within 2 weeks, they'll have that all taken care of. So when you log in, you'll be able to immediately set up your website without ever having to put in a credit card if you don't have a website. And then you can be assured that your credit card will not be charged for it on a monthly basis. It'll be free to you along with the basic campaign. So that's going to be good through the end of the year. And we'll be talking more about utilization of that to make sure, like especially setting up those monthly drip campaigns. So each person in your sphere of influence is being touched by you, okay? So the other thing at the end of the year, you'll get a notification through Prime Agent that the company paid portion will end and you'll have to make a decision to continue or not to continue. We hope you will. You'll see the value of the importance of reaching out to your consumer on a regular basis. So I hope you all like that. It's also another, it's a very significant dollar amount to take 600 agents, and everyone's going to get it. Every single agent in the company is going to have a free website and a free marketing campaign.
John, if we already use it, should we go in and take our credit card info
No.
off?
No, leave it alone. You won't,
Okay.
we're setting it up so you don't have to do a thing, Martha. As soon as it's live, you will no longer be charged.
Okay.
Okay, through the end of the year. And then it'll give you an opt-out or an opt-in at the end of the year. That's my understanding, correct, Craig?
That is correct.
So Craig's been a part of those calls with me, with our franchisor, and they've been wonderful in making this work. And we're hoping this is going to help you stay closer to your consumer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next item is the Homekeeper. Any of you
Okay.
guys, who in
Craig,
here?
if you all don't
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
I'm going to exit this call. I've got a very long drive home and I've got high wind on top of it. I may have to go the back way into Tucson.
Gotcha. It's
All
windy
right.
down here too.
All right, I will see you all
Thank
back in town soon.
Have
Right,
a
thanks,
safe
John.
trip.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Be safe, be safe.
All right, last thing I have before we turn it over to Mark, and I'll try and make this fairly quick. Who of you guys I can't speak, has used Homekeeper, or your clients have used Homekeeper? Do you guys know what it is?
No.
Anybody? Okay. So right now you guys have a free app. It's called Homekeeper. It's Homekeeper, Keepr. There's no E in between. So if you actually go into Prime Agent, go into brokerage, look at our allied resources, that will be one of them. Homekeeper, basically what it is, it's your version of Angie's List. So it's your personal Angie's List, but it's in an app. So you can send this to your clients. They can basically get your list of plumbers, electricians, lawyers, I don't care, whatever, anything, everything related to a home. It's your list that you make yourself. So what happens is you'll download it. It's going to have some people that we've used as a company over the years. It's going to put those in there for you. So you will have some people in there. My suggestion is you go through and slowly delete them and replace them with people that you know. Put your plumber in there, your electrician, your pool person, your whoever.
Now, and I was just
Sorry.
So it will have all that stuff in there for you. But what this is, there's a couple things about this now. So what they did is they just didn't update this past week. Like right now, when you go into SkySlope, you create a file, it sends them a request for updater. Well, this is going to do the same thing for SkySlope and give them an invitation. So it's going to have their contact information, say, hey, Chelsea is recommending SkySlope, or not SkySlope, but Homekeeper for you. And they can go ahead and download that. SkySlope is all, or SkySlope, Homekeeper is going to start sending them reminders and different, it basically creates a campaign for move related items. So it's going to give them a discount for Papa John's for moving day. It's going to give them some discounts at Lowe's and Home Depot for after they move in. It's going to give them some stuff about security systems and some discounts that they can get through that, for after they move in, stuff like that. It's also going to create a concierge service very similar to Updater. So the difference between their concierge service versus Updater's concierge service, it's actually, they're going to have a live person to talk to. It's not going to just be an automated system where they just type in some information and hope it works. They'll actually be able to talk to a live person that will set up all their utilities, their cable, their internet, their phones, their whatever else they want to set up with that move. So they'll set that all up for them if they would like, and it's a free service to them, free service to you guys. One of the biggest things with this Homekeeper app that most people don't look at is this is a great way to build your business as well. So one of the things, you guys should be reaching out to other business owners. You guys are business owners, reach out to other business owners and say, hey, You know, one of the things I always ask business owners is, hey, how many business cards have you guys given out? Yeah, everybody's given out hundreds or thousands of business cards. And I always ask them, how many pieces of business did you get from those? I know, like me, it's probably very, very few. So what I ask them is, hey, would you mind if I give out your business card to everyone in my database? And what I mean by that, and you're not going to have to give me any business cards, but I'm going to add you to my list, to my app, and I'm going to hand that out to everybody. Are you okay with that? Well, of course, you know, they're glad to, because here's the good thing: they're never going to lose the phone. Well, if they lose it, it's still on there. They'll always have that app. They can go in there and find My Electrician at all times. And one of the things, I go back to all those people in all those business owners, and I always ask them, hey, you know, I've been using you forever. I've sent you guys business, and, you know, I hate to say it, I don't think I've gotten any business from you guys. I'm not going to change it, because I think you guys are the best person for my people. But what do I need to do differently in my business to make sure that you send me some referrals? And almost every single time they tell me, you know, honestly, you've just never asked me before, or I've never thought about it. So I just want to, for me, I use that app. It's my list of, hey, who do I need to stay in touch with? There are other business owners. It's also another reason to reach out to my database and say, hey, Martha, I know you guys have used a plumber back in the days. Do you know of any plumbers I can use to, I have some clients that are looking for a plumber. Now, when I call that plumber, hey, Martha recommended you. It's a warm lead when I talk to that plumber. And this is a reason to reach out to my database saying, hey, I'm trying to provide value to the rest of my database. Make sense? You know, so it's a good tool there. One of the other things is, once they do have that app on their phone, they can share it. So, hey, if their neighbor says, hey, I need an electrician, a plumber, a pool guy, they can share that. Every single page is branded with your information. So when they share it, it's still going to be branded with all of your information. The other part of that is, a lot of people don't realize this is a perfect tool to give them when they're moving in. So when you're doing that final walkthrough, go through and do a final walkthrough with them and say, hey, look, let's verify everything. Hey, by the way, let me share this app. If you guys need any plumbers, electricians, painters, whatever to do, here's this app. What I do is I show, if it's a husband and wife, for example, I'll show one of them. Here, let me download it on your phone, and let me show you how to share it with your partner. That way they know how to share it. And hey, while we're here, let's actually go over to your appliances and let's actually download the model and serial number of your appliances. What happens is, when they do that, it will actually download a user manual for each of those appliances, and it will notify them if there's ever a recall. I have all kinds of appliances. I have no idea if there's a recall. And I'm probably going to ever know, because nobody's going to tell me that there's a recall. So this will automatically do that for them. All the people that are in there, all the plumbers and electricians, they're going to get an invitation from you. They're going to be able to share discounts with your clients. They're going to be able to share tips with your clients. There's going to be blogs in there, reminders, hey, it's time to change out your air filter, stuff like that. So it's a nice value piece for your clients as well. All right.
Craig, can you touch again on the utilities, so they can call and it's a concierge service that helps them connect their utilities?
Yep, absolutely. So you have Updater right now, which will do that, but you also will start having, HomeKeeper will also do that as well. So once you put your clients into SkySlope, it will send them an invitation to Updater. So they have that option through there, and it's all, most of that's just all digitally. Or they'll be connected with someone live. You know, they'll get an invitation, say, hey, if you would like us to do this as a concierge service for free, here's our phone number. They'll call them, and they'll actually be connected with a live person who will help them do all that.
Is there any like literature or anything we can print out a flyer to put in buyers' packets, so when we are working with a new buyer, that they know that this is a service they're going to get as well along the process?
So if you go into Prime Agent, they will be in that list of our allied resources or preferred partners. So if you go in there, you can go directly to their website. It's homekeeper.com. Again, no E between P and the R.
Okay.
But at homekeeper.com, and you can find some more information there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Are there any competing issues between Updater and HomeKeeper as far as utilities? Like if you've got both of them and agents working with both of them, are they gonna how would that would there be any conflict between the two?
My suggestion is just don't sign up for both. Sign up for one or the other, or at least notify your clients too. They're probably going to pick one or the other. The biggest difference between the two is that, hey, one is just all digital. The other one is a live person. Some people prefer everything online. Other people prefer, hey, I want to talk to a person. What's your preference? Pick one or the
So
other.
isn't Updater automatic? Don't you have to opt out of that in order to sort of not, if somebody wants to use HomeKeeper, do they have to opt out of the Updater system? Because I thought that was
It's automatic that it sends out a invitation. So they both will just have an invitation from Updater and an invitation from HomeKeeper. Neither of them will actually be signed up for anything yet. So it's just an invitation only
Okay.
first.
so the consumer decides which way they want to go.
Correct. Yep. And if they don't want to use either, they don't have to as well. That is a
Thank you.
nice service.
Thanks.
Anything else, guys, on that? If you guys get stuck on it, have any questions, give me a holler. I'll be glad to walk you through it. It's a really nice tool. My suggestion is download it yourself. As long as you're downloading it in your account and changing, those vendors, it will automatically update on theirs. So if you add a new plumber today, theirs will update with a new plumber on theirs. Okay. All right, Mark, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, guys, we only have about a half an hour left. So first off, does anybody have anything that they wanted to bring up or any problems or issues or interesting encounters that you've had over the past month? And it's got to be some. A lot of
I have-
unusual. Oh, please, yeah, share, please.
So I was under contract. I represented the buyer and the seller was like a flipper, another brokerage. And we were doing a seller carryback. The purchase contract stated that it wasn't contingent upon the buyer's credit check. And this seller used like a third-party lender to run them through and check, and they wanted like paycheck stubs, all of that. We weren't aware of it going under contract, and a week into it, then they wanted, all of the buyer's information. And of course, there was a reason why we were doing the seller carryback. So, I felt that they weren't upfront about it, and that they should have countered back on this, the seller financing addendum, saying that the credit is part of it. Have you ever seen another person do that before?
No, did you put that on the carryback that it was not contingent upon the?
Yeah.
And they-
Yes.
Wow, yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
I felt like it was really misleading, and we canceled because, there's just, we knew that it wasn't gonna go. It was a traditional lender basically running their
Right.
credit, their income, all of it.
Yeah, when you were describing it, it just sounded like a regular credit qualifying issue. And usually the purpose of seller carryback is that there's sometimes issues with credit qualifying, and that's why they do a seller carryback. So no, you're right. They shouldn't have been able to ask for that because they didn't provide.
She told me that sellers have the same opportunity and can run, I don't know what the name of what it was, but they can run checks on buyers and run their credit and run income just to verify that they are a candidate for, like, they want to lend their money to them. So, and to me, that should have been in the purchase contract. They should have had an addendum or something stating that.
Yeah, but if you put that it was not contingent on the credit evaluation, then they shouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, sellers are getting away with an awful lot these days. I talked to one of our agents this past week. He's been going on for a couple of weeks now with a flipper that most of you know, and they agreed to a number of things on the Binzer, but then they got down to it, and there were a number of things that were not done. Like they agreed to provide a refrigerator worth about $3,200, and they threw a $1,200 refrigerator in there. They agreed to have the drain, cleared. They didn't do that. They agreed to elevate a wall on the side. They didn't do that, and a few other things. And a few days before closing, when the buyer did their walkthrough, and they brought this to the attention of the flipper owner agent, they just said, well, we're not doing it. We feel like we've done a lot. The buyer's getting a great deal, and we don't care. If the buyer doesn't like it, they can leave. And so even when you're right, enforcing it isn't always easy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do everything right and still have an outcome for the buyer that's not satisfying. So I don't really know how to get around that because our contracts provide the expectation, but not a great arm of enforcement.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that happens? You know, probably what you did, you cancel and try to find some other property, but it's not that easy in this market.
Was that seller someone in our brokerage?
Well, let's put it this way. They used to be in our brokerage. Recently, started their own company. But yeah, they were, you guys know of them. I'm gonna try to ask Martha to help me with a little bit of memory here. Yesterday, we had the AAR Board of Directors meeting, and there were some things that will be coming down the road at us relatively soon. They're gonna make an addition to the additional clause addendum. You know, I've been getting a lot of calls over the past few months about, you know, buyers agreeing to pay the difference between the contract price and the appraised value up to X amount of dollars. So they're actually going to put a clause like that into the additional clause addendum. So it appears like they're accommodating this market with that kind of clause. The AAR has approved, and I don't know when it's coming out. Again, I'm going to ask Martha for help on this. There approved an AAR listing agreement that can be used statewide. I don't believe MLS is going to be using it. We'll probably continue to use the one we have, but I think that's going to be an alternative. Is that what you recall, Martha?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, Mark, this was like a 3-hour meeting.
I know.
I was starting to glaze over a little.
Yeah.
And especially now, the one thing, were you in our breakout room, Mark? I'm trying to
Yes.
remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
I still have this question that Eric Gibbs spoke up about with these ones coming active, and you call the agent, who shall remain nameless, and it's just like, it's under contract, it's under contract. And then 3-4 days later, it's still showing active. And I actually did report 1 or 2 of them. And I just heard back from somebody at Standard saying, well, it's under contract now. So, you know, and I didn't realize there was a 48-hour window on that.
Well, that also came up at our risk meeting last week, and there was another broker, and I kind of agree with them. They were really upset because you're seeing a lot of remarks stating something like, you know, offers will be collected and reviewed. Let's say, what's today, Thursday, they'll be reviewed by Monday at 5 p.m. And then they find out that they accepted somebody's offer on Saturday.
Mhm.
And so that was submitted to MLS as a complaint. MLS has come back and say, well, we don't really have any enforcement for that. I guess if there's anything, you could always go to AAR if there's an ethics issue. But then they said the seller drives the decision on those things. So I said, well, assuming that you were to go to AAR ethics, what would you allege that the ethics, you know, violation was? Then nobody could come up with one. So MLS isn't going to enforce it. Nobody could think of how it's a violation of AAR unless the agent just blatantly lied or something, you know. And how do you prove that this agent determined all that and it wasn't the seller's choice? So it seems like there's an issue there that a lot of people are unhappy about, but there doesn't appear to be any solution. So I don't know. I don't have any, you know, optimism on that in the near future from anything I've heard. But I don't think we got any satisfactory answer from Eric's question either. Do you, Martha?
Now, I just, I know actually on one of these, my buyer called this agent because I didn't trust what I was hearing, that it was under contract. And so the buyer called and she's like, told my client, yeah, yes, it is. They're usually sold before I even put them on the market, is what she told my client. So if that's the case, they should be coming on as active contingent immediately then. So.
Well, they should be coming on as coming soon. Again, I was on that coming soon Clear Cooperation Task Force, and then I've got kind of sucked into the subsequent task force of how to interpret it. And effectively, you know, you cannot market your property publicly unless you put it in coming soon within 24 hours of any type of public marketing, a sign, a lockbox, even if you're on Facebook or something like that. The only way you're allowed to market it is internally in your own brokerage without having to put it on coming soon. But the second that you market it outside your own brokerage, the clock starts ticking and you've got 24 hours to put it into coming soon. So the challenge is enforcement. Once again, how do you, effectively police it? How do you enforce it? That's hard. I mean, but similarly, there's a lot of people complaining that they're getting multiple offers in, and there's 8 offers in or 5 offers in, and one offer gets accepted and 5 or 7 don't. Then the ones that don't get accepted are some of the agents and clients are upset because they are demanding that the seller sign page 10 of the contract rejecting their offer. And so, do you guys know what the rule is on that?
I think we talked about that in those meetings yesterday, Mark, too. Are they considering that you have to do a written rejection? I mean, that sounded like that was kind of up for debate.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's again, our commissioner has come out at some of the meetings and stated that the buyers should get, the seller's agent should get that initial and return to each buyer's agent from each offer. But one of the other members of the risk committee and I talked to her after the committee and I said, I can't find anywhere in writing where it says that. All I can find is Article 1, I think Standard of Practice 1.7 states that if a buyer's agent requests of you, a listing agent, in writing to state that you did submit that the offer to the seller, then as a listing agent, you're required to respond in writing. Yes, I here I affirm that I did submit your offer to the seller. That's the only thing I'm aware of. And after a discussion about this at the board of directors meeting, nobody could find anything in writing anywhere to support what the commissioner is actually saying. So what we're thinking is the commissioner is saying something that is actually probably best practices recommendation, but no, it's not a rule. It's not like a substantive policy or anything like that. It's just, I think what she is recommending is best practices, but the only rule that we can actually find in writing is that Standard of Practice 1.7, stating that if they ask for that, written affirmation that you, as a listing agent, submitted to the seller, you have to respond in writing that you did. But I've got an agent that Jeff forwarded to me. Usually when you get complaints, Jeff just hits forward, and it goes, hey, please handle. And so I got a complaint from another agent that one of our listing agents did not get back to her, and she didn't feel like she communicated through the process as well as this other agent would have liked. And, I talked to our agent, she had about 8 offers in, and this was like the worst of the offers, the lowest, and it had a buyer contingency. And our agent did email back at one point, the sellers have decided to counter another offer. But this agent was still complaining that they never got anything in writing back, and that they don't like that this is the profession is not as professional as it should be, and all this stuff. And I kind of wrote back that, I can understand why you feel that way and all that stuff. But in a market like this, you have to kind of counsel your buyers and saying, there's really a lot of offers in on some properties. And, unfortunately, there's like 6,000 to 7,000 agents in MLS, and everybody's an independent contractor and everybody practices a little differently, but there's no absolute rule that tells us how we have to act in these manners. So if, it sounds a little harsh, but if you don't hear back, you probably didn't get accepted, right? I mean, your offer is accepted, you hear back. And if not, I know it's not satisfying, but I think you got to prepare the buyers for that possibility that we may hear nothing if there's, no answer. And at some point the offers may expire. And some of the ones that say they're collecting the offers and will present them in a few days, you have to allow for that in your offer as well in the time for acceptance. Otherwise it expires and kind of dies in the vine before it even, gets to present it. If you can actually find somebody that adheres to that, say 5 p.m. Monday review time. So there's a lot of discontent amongst buyers and agents that are not getting the properties. And of course, a really limited inventory that's fueling that discontent. But, you know, hey, if I could answer all these questions, I'd be making a lot more money and I'd probably be in a beach house somewhere just relaxing. But, you know, unfortunately, that's not the case. You know, they're just things that we got to work around and work with. So anybody have any other thoughts or things you'd like to add about
If
that?
you wanted
Those
something
couple of
in
things?
writing, could you write that in your purchase contract and the additional terms, just say seller shall respond in writing, you know, one way or another by, you know, time frame deadline? Could you, I mean,
Well, I mean, you could write anything you want in, but because unless it's fully executed by the seller, you don't have a contract anyway.
yeah,
So the terms, there would be no enforceability of any of the terms of the contract that was submitted unless it was accepted by the seller. So you're still kind of in the same boat where you can ask for it. It certainly doesn't hurt, but there's no way to enforce that.
I don't think I've ever gotten a written rejection, you know, where they signed it on the purchase contract. Have you guys? I mean,
Very few.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, I don't think you're going to see it often in this market.
No.
I talked to a broker a couple of months ago. They got 72 offers in the first 2 days or so on a property. It was like an $80,000 property and they had everybody in the county bidding on it. So 72 offers tells me maybe they were a little low on the pricing. I don't know. You know, but again, I think so much of what we do is counseling our buyers and sellers of what they might expect a little bit before things start going on and things happening. But I think that's often the best we can do. I mean, we can't, sometimes I've had agents get really frustrated because they've lost out on 3 or 4 bidding wars and they're saying their buyers think there's something wrong with them, you know. But when you've got people willing to pay over the value, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we had somebody on a contract for $725,000. It appraised at $625,000 and the buyer agreed to pay $100,000 over. They were from California, brought a suitcase of money or whatever they give it in California these days. But, you know, what are you going to do about that? What do you say to the buyer? Sorry, they have more money than you do. It's not very satisfying, is it, to anybody? But I don't know what the fix is. It's a challenge, but we're having a lot of people losing out on offer after offer after offer. And the people from, like I say, the 3 Cs, California, Canada, Colorado, they're outbidding Arizonans on a regular basis. And our home state folks are getting really outbid and frustrated because they can't compete with the out-of-state money. But again, I don't know what the answer is, other than someday when there's more inventory. But absent that, I guess we're just stuck dealing with what we got. Anybody want to add anything? Okay, I want to just hit a couple other things that I want to talk about, like septic inspections. That's become sort of a frequent question I get a lot lately. Their Arizona Administrative Code states, and it has the force and effect of law, states that every seller, including a bank that sells a property, must have that septic inspected. A buyer and seller cannot agree to break the law and transfer the property without those inspections, even if it's a cash purchase, and they agree to do it. We actually had one of our agents out of the Oracle office, so I won't mention their name. They bought a property cash at septic tank, and they waived the inspection of the septic system. And they were surprised to find out that they can't do that. So again, in the title company, they'll sign off. They'll give you buyer seller sign a release. They don't care. It doesn't affect them, but it has the force and effect of law. So the seller must have that septic system inspected. If there's more than one septic system, that applies to every septic system on the premises, on the property. One of our agents who does a lot of land yesterday came into my office and asked me about trying to, talk to for sale by owners in Cochise County, and 4 or 5 of the sellers said the buyer needed to pay for everything, and they didn't want to do those kind of inspections, and they didn't want to do water quality, and the buyers could take it or leave it. And so he was all frustrated because he was wondering, well, can I help, a fee to sort of help with the paperwork? And I said, well, you don't want to ever use that kind of verbiage because lawyers draft paperwork for money. We're allowed to do contracts in pursuit of a transaction, not for money. Like sometimes agents say, well, they have a buyer and a seller and they said they give me, 1% or 2% for doing the paperwork. And you got to just, use the right words and say, like, I'm not allowed to write contracts for money. What I can do is I can assist in the paperwork. As part of what I do is I can help facilitate, coordinate, and expedite the transaction. And in part of that, I can help with paperwork. So part of it is just knowing the proper words when the situation arises. But I told them you also can't participate in a transaction that where there's sort of defrauding or breaking laws that you're knowing about. You can't say, well, that's their problem, not mine. Well, if you're helping them with the paperwork, you better have some pretty strong warnings that you advise them against certain things. And I don't know, they may or may not want to use you then. But again, the septic inspection, the on-site wastewater treatment addendum picks up where the administrative code leaves off. So if a seller has their premises at the septic inspected, pump and drain the system in order to inspect it, then that addendum picks up and protects the buyer and requires the seller to pay up to 1% of the purchase price for any repairs, right? So that's the plug-in of the addendums to plug into the administrative code that is already required by the seller. So again, you can't waive it, whether it's cash or not. It doesn't matter. It's a law. And it has to be inspected within 6 months of closing, and it has to be transferred in the buyer's name within 15 days of close of escrow. So anybody have any questions on septic systems? It doesn't come up, it's not one of the things we get a lot of questions on, but I've been getting a lot of calls on those over the past couple of months where, sellers don't want to do it because they figured it's a seller's market, let the buyer pay for everything. And then you've got to kind of, know what the codes are to be able to kind of tell the seller, regardless of that, you have to do this. It's required. So another thing is like earnest money deposits. And you, depending on how you look at this, it's going to depend on which side of the transaction you're on. If you represent a buyer, and let's say you have $5,000 earnest money deposit, and then upon satisfactory, mutual satisfaction of the inspection contingency, buyer adds an additional $10,000 deposit to escrow, you want to be careful how you define that. If you define it as earnest money and the buyer ends up in breach, the contract states that the seller can keep the buyer's earnest money as liquidated damages. So that means the 5,000 plus the 10,000 is now gone. If you apply the 10,000 for the buyer to down payment and closing costs, now the seller's only allowed to get that 5,000 earnest money that you deposited. So what you call things can make a huge difference to each side of the transaction. Conversely, if you represent the seller, you want to probably have that 10,000 added as additional earnest money deposits. So, I mean, the first question I always ask agents when they call, when they start talking about transactions, which side are we on? Because the view from each side is really different. Whatever hat you're wearing is going to have a really different view to it. It's like a prism, you turn it a little bit, you get it changes the way you see things. So you want to be real careful about what you call things. And then you also want to make sure, if you're representing a buyer, that upon deposit, the earnest money is non-refundable to buyer. You always want to add something like, unless seller is in breach of contract, because I'm seeing contracts where we have the buyers want to get the property, the agents write the contract, they write earnest money is not refundable. But what if the seller breaches the contract? The buyer should get it back, right? So you want to make sure that they do get that back, and that's part of sort of the verbiage that you want to make sure you add. Any questions on earnest money deposits or additional deposits? Does that make sense at all?
I've seen
good.
some agents write in on an offer where it says earnest money. I never write anything there because it kind of explains below that it's going to be deposited, by personal check why or whatever. But I'm seeing more agents writing in to be put towards closing costs and that line after the earnest money, which to me is kind of a given, but do you think we need to spell that out?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be careful who's going to try to claim the money. And again, depending on which side you're on, you would kind of draft it appropriately. But I think if you, again, when you start getting into larger additional deposits, I mean, generally speaking, you'll see the earnest money deposit stated on page 1. I guess unless it's a VA where there's zero down, where they might put $500 or $1,000 and then to be applied towards closing costs or something, since there may be no down payment. So I think it's just, you want to be careful. Again, if you're on the seller side, you probably want to try to get the verbiage to say that it is additional earnest money deposit. So it's whatever you can negotiate best for your side of the transaction is going to benefit your client the most if there's a dispute. And the title companies are, not making very good decisions. I don't think they have for a long time. Pioneer Title down in Green Valley area held up one of our agents' earnest money deposits for $7,500 off of something I thought was stupid. The buyers gets the prelim, right? And I don't know if you guys are aware, but in the prelim for about the last year or two, there's a hyperlink to the CC&Rs. You guys all notice that, like in this case, it was somewhere on page 14 or 16 into the prelim, just a little hyperlink. So what ended up happening in the HOA, on page 2 of the HOA addendum, it states that if there are over 50 units, the HOA will provide the CC&Rs, but not just the CC&Rs, right? All those other 7 or 8 things, financials and other things, to the buyer. So our buyer got that packet from the HOA, and within the 5 days, they disapproved of the CC&Rs, the financials. Then they tried to cancel, and the listing brokerage. I know you guys have never had any trouble with Coldwell Banker down there, but Coldwell Banker was a listing brokerage, and they and the title company, even though we chose the title company, effectively claimed that hyperlink to the CC&Rs in the prelim started the 5-day disapproval time for the buyer of the HOA documents. And I'm arguing with the title company for a week and a half, and I think it's stupid because you get one item out of 8 items that you're entitled to get. And if you want to be technical about it, the hyperlink actually goes to the title plant's base of CC&Rs. That's not even provided directly from the HOA. The HOA may have some addendums or updates that maybe the title plant does not have. I was surprised somebody would try to make the position that hyperlink was delivery of all those HOA documents. So I don't know, just even though you do things exactly right, and of course our buyer got upset at our agent. How could this happen? Where's my earnest money? Why are they holding $7,500? What can you do about it? What's your company going to do about it? And the title company, like I said, it took a while. They finally let loose with the money, but it took about 10 days too long. It never should have been held at all. But these are the kind of things that are going on out there. Do you guys know what an anticipatory breach is? Because sometimes in your transactions, you can save some of your time and effort. Let's say you have a listing and you get a week, 2 weeks away from closing, and the buyer says that they got disqualified from this lender, are going to another lender, but they're going to need an additional week, or they're not going to be able to close on time because they changed lenders. Well, you can initiate a cure notice saying this is an anticipatory breach is kind of what it states. You're anticipating the breach because the other client, let's say the buyer in this case, made a statement, I am not going to be able to close on time. And based on that statement, you can provide that anticipatory breach, that cure notice. Just like we had one where a seller said that, well, I'm not going to be able to move out in time. I need another 30 days. So we sent an anticipatory breach as soon as we got that in writing. So I told our agent to there was a verbal conversation, and I said, email the other agent and state that my understanding is that your seller is refusing to move out on the close of escrow date and will not move out unless they have an additional 30 days. Is that correct? And then all the other agent had to do was email back, yes. So now we got that. We got a confirmation in writing that they're not going to perform. So we sent a notice of anticipatory breach. So I don't know where it's at right now, but sometimes you can, make some of your time a little more efficient and not just wait for somebody to not do something that they already told you that they're not going to do. Does that make sense? Any questions on that at all? No? Okay. This doesn't, I haven't seen this for a while, but I did get a question recently. Raffles, drawings, contests, ADRE does not allow any type of raffles or drawings or any what they call games of chance. So if you have an open house, you can't say, and I know that they've done this before, like, the first 5 people will get this, or the one person is in a drawing and they get somebody wanted to raffle off a barbecue for an open house. And unless everybody gets something, nobody gets anything, according to ADRE. So there's no games of chance, raffles, or any of those type of lotteries for our industry in Arizona. And I see them, violating that every so often. But just so you know, I got asked that recently, and that's ADRE's rule, is that we can't do it unless you're giving everybody that walks in the door thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, what's that?
I saw some of our agents doing it on Facebook the other day. It had to be a couple weeks ago. They were doing a big raffle and making a big deal about it. And I thought, no, I don't think this is legal. So.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, there's a lot of things that go on that if we don't know about it until we know about it, then we could advise accordingly. But and sometimes it's frustrating. I've had agents say, well, but they're doing it. Why can't I? And it's kind of the same thing. What would you say to your kids if your kid came to you and said, oh, my neighbor's doing this, why can't I? The other kid's doing it. You'd say, well, unfortunately, you're trying to be better than what, you're supposed to model your behavior after more positive, more, conforming of the rules and stuff. And you don't want to necessarily model your behavior after the people that are breaking the rules. And yeah, sometimes they get away with it, but I don't know. I hopefully, I've got a 15-year-old have to tell a lot, knows everything. It is when 15, they know it all. Can't teach them anything. But, I would like her to, try to, follow people that are, doing things the way they're supposed to, not people that are, breaking rules, because you're always going to have that. But, we have enforcement and it's not great, but that's all we have. We have that. We have small claims court. If you've got an issue, again, agency ends at close of escrow. If there's a problem, we can empathize. And sometimes the best thing we can do is say, consult an attorney, or it's under 3,500. You might consider small claims court, but it's hard because we help people all the way through the process, and then 3 days after closing, something goes wrong, and we say, sorry, we can't help you. And it's like, and you guys just need to know, legally, we are unable to help anybody. I mean, that's like case law states that our fiduciary relationship ends at close of escrow. Therefore, we're actually jeopardizing our client's position possibly, and maybe bringing, liability on ourselves by involving ourselves in certain things after close of escrow. If it's something that we think we can work out, without too much problem, then maybe on a case-by-case basis, we try to help. But on things, if it feels like it could be a legal issue, then maybe you got to be real careful, because you don't want to be drawn into something that you really don't have any legal ability to defend. So anything else you guys want to hit? I guess we're about noon. So anything anybody want to add or want to talk about in future meetings? No?
I saw you put a new Mark's Minute out. I haven't watched out about fixtures. If the people take the TV and leave, they're supposed to leave the bracket, correct?
Correct.
The wall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, a fixture versus personal property is, if you need a tool to remove it, it's probably a fixture. If you don't, it's probably not. One of our agents had, you know, might have said this before, like $1 million sale a year ago. And when they had the buyer, when the buyer went to do the final walkthrough, all the mirrors and all the bathrooms were gone. Because they're all like wrought iron and elaborate mirrors, but they're all hung on the hooks, just like a picture. They weren't affixed to the wall. So our agent ended up, you know, throwing, thank God it was like $1 million plus listing. They coughed up $3,000 or $4,000 for mirrors for the buyer. But I've kind of just recommended stating from going forward that all mirrors in all bathrooms stay, because, you know, it's not something you would think would disappear, especially in $1 million property, you know. But yeah, they turned out they were personal property, not a fixture. Who knew? You know, but, you know, we're all trying to do the best we can, and you know, we never know it all. What we learned yesterday might not be the same today, and you know, every time somebody runs into some issue, hopefully we learn from it. So you know, we learn from other people's, I don't even want to say mistakes, but just what they encounter, and then try to use it to try to avoid getting our clients in the same boat. But it's, you know, what we do is not an easy job, and it's a lot more difficult than people give you guys credit for. And, you know, it's trying to navigate from the second you find somebody till the time they're closing on a property, and all the moods and personality types you have. I mean, you know, is on top of being real estate agents, you guys are therapists. You know, I don't know if you're getting $200 an hour, but you know, you should. But yeah, it's not an easy job by any means. So I mean, you guys do a great job, and you know, appreciate all your efforts. So you know, and I appreciate you wanting to know how to do things the right way, because that way you stay out of problems and you don't have to. Hopefully, if you never have to give an attorney a penny, that would be great. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
thanks, Mark and Craig. Take care.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye, thank you.
Yeah.